Tales of Estolia. Volume 1. The Promise of Zacharias. Part 5. According to Prophecy. Chapter 9. Silver lining.
The aura is a guide for the sons of Zacharias. It helps them recognize their Kali. During seclusion, each man is directed to write a description of their Kali's aura. Even those not gifted with the aura are asked to describe the substance of their Kali soul. Whether loquacious or laconic, the one constant in these narratives is that each one is unique. From the shimmer of rainbows to the mists of arrow falls, from the glow of sunrise to the glimmer of sunset. Never a static, two-dimensional image. Each vignette is full of life, pulsing, swirling, expanding and contracting, and always utilizing some or all the five senses. As each citizen of Estolia is unique, their souls are also uniquely individual. Balthazarius Kaifer Zacharian, Capítulo 78.
Leon tossed the letter onto the table in front of him and leaned back to look at the woman he was deliberately sent to meet. She was exotically beautiful. Her aura was the first thing he noticed once he dried himself on her entrance tiles, a pulsing silver bronze gold shimmer surrounding her, causing him to lose his train of thought entirely. It was only her repeated queries about what brought him to her door that pulled him out of the trance caused by the view of the exquisite substance of her soul. "Am I keeping you from anything?" She grimaced slightly and glanced over at a table covered in paperwork. "Nothing I want to return to." "What do you do, Callista Tear?" He smiled. He had been told often enough that his features were not classically handsome, but that when he smiled, some alchemy of genetics transformed his features into a compelling and attractive whole. She was not looking his way, so the smile did not perform any of the magic he had been told it would. In fact, she looked distressed. "Please call me Callista. I don't do anything anymore." Adrenaline flooded his system. Something was dreadfully wrong in Callista Tear's world. Tell me about it. If he was going to win this woman over, he had to gain her trust. Unshed tears darkened her lashes, making them spiky. She pulled her feet up onto the couch in front of her and clasped her legs. She looked vulnerable, haunted by whatever was bothering her. "I've lost my scholarship." Her jaw jutted out mutinously. "But I couldn't do what was necessary to keep it." Surely keeping a scholarship is merely a matter of keeping your grades at a certain level? Whatever was disturbing her was the key to winning her trust. Her eyes met his and a flush colored her cheeks. "Yes, but Dr. Halloran said." She looked away from him. "He said I could convince him to give me an A, but otherwise I would get a C." She rubbed at her forearm, at a bruise there, faintly in the pattern of a hand. Leon felt a flare of fury at the implication. "Your instructor required sexual favors in order to bestow the desired grade?" he asked. "I can't prove it," she said, forlorn. "But yes, that was his implication. I'll lose my scholarship if I get a C in history." What will you do now? If she was having financial difficulties, she might be easier to woo, but he wanted to win this woman's heart. He did not wish her to choose him because she was desperate to be saved from some financial riptide pulling her under. She rested her forehead on her knees. She was crying. He felt each sob, each jerk of her shoulders as if a knife was turning in his gut. He wanted to disembowel the man who had done this to her, but he didn't know if his presence in her life would disturb her equally or if she would react positively to his attentions, his intent to make her his queen. Dr. Halloran had greasy skin and a large rounded belly on an otherwise slender body with narrow hunched shoulders. She shuddered at the memory of him groping her. She disliked being alone, but was shy around strangers. She was not emotionally or psychologically well equipped for the real world. Her brother encouraged her to apply for a scholarship, and when she got it, he invited her to live with him. His apartment was only half an hour away from their parents' home. The year she spent alone since the accident left her feeling frightened and insecure. Did your professor take your innocence? He asked her, eyeing the bruise on her arm. He tried, she whispered. A warm arm coming around her shoulders had her head jerking upright. She looked at the stranger, who settled next to her, her eyes studied his. I'm sorry, I'm not very good company at the moment, she apologized. You are distressed, you need a shoulder to cry on. I happen to have very broad shoulders. Perhaps you will make use of them? His voice was gentle, sincere, soothing. He pulled her into his arms and she allowed herself to be held, giving in to the emotions she had stifled for the last year. First the horror of losing her entire family, then the grueling surgeries and therapy to reconstruct and rehabilitate her ankle, and finally the disgusting confrontation with Dr. Halloran. She snuggled into the plush soft fabric of the robe she purchased for her brother and allowed her emotions to finally flow freely.